Meghan Markle's fakery with British Airways has just been exposed. When all else fails, when everything is going disastrously wrong, there's always a stunt involving an airplane. She is one of the worst passengers to ever travel on their airline. She was rude to the air hostesses, she tried to get upgrades, that was before she met Prince Harry, and she refused to even look after Archie on the flight, and he was crying for a long time before the nannies got involved.
Meghan's British Airways anniversary card was addressed to Harry. There's one problem. May 18th, 2026. A British Airways 777 BA269 taxiing out of Heathrow. The premium cabin has one A-list passenger. Her name is on the manifest. Her husband's name is not. 6 hours later, somebody on board hands Meghan a card. The card is addressed to Dearest Harry and Meghan. A captain has signed it. A bottle of champagne sits beside it. Lovely. And before anyone says, the crew was just being sweet, why are we picking this apart? Hold on. The detail that makes this card impossible to take at face value isn't anybody's opinion. It's the card itself.
We're merching our own wedding too. This is all extraordinary stuff, especially the fact that she claims that the British Airways crew on her flight from Europe back to Los Angeles just happened to know that it was her 8th wedding anniversary and just happened to write her this card expressing what a delight she is on the flight.
Read it properly. 3 things on this card. The third isn't printed on the card at all. It's on British Airways' own website. None of them on its own proves the moment was arranged. All 3 together make the official spontaneous gesture version 1. The documents simply don't back up. By the next morning, the card was on Meghan's Instagram. People magazine ran the exclusive that afternoon. Hello ran it. GB News ran it. The Sussex camp made sure your timeline saw it. Stay with me. We'll go through each one in the exact order the airline's own paperwork suggests. Some context before we open the card. The day before BA269 took off, Meghan stood on a podium in Geneva, telling the World Health Organization what social media does to children.
She posted this weird picture getting ready to leave for the event on cyberbullying, and the whole event was about protecting your kids from social media, and I guess she doesn't see the hypocrisy that she's posting her kid on social media.
The next morning, she flew from Switzerland to Heathrow. There is no direct flight from Geneva to Los Angeles, transited through Terminal 5, and connected on to BA269 for the 12-hour leg home. Per the Heathrow flight page and the FlightAware history, both of which sit there for anyone to check, the flight pushed back 26 minutes late and landed in Los Angeles at 25 past 7. Pacific time, solo journey, solo arrival. Solo Instagram post the next morning. Harry has been on record, repeatedly and recently, saying he does not return to the United Kingdom. He has not been photographed at Heathrow that week. The People magazine article does not place him on the flight. The Hello magazine write-up does not place him on the flight. GB News, in its follow-up, treats Meghan's connection through London as her own, a secret appearance on British soil, in their words.
She leaks to People magazine, her propagandists at People magazine, that this was the crew, the British Airways crew, and she was just so touched that they loved her so much. Here's the article. Meghan Markle was moved by the kindness of a British Airways flight crew who helped ring in her wedding anniversary with Prince Harry.
So we are looking at Meghan, traveling alone, 12-hour leg, premium cabin, return journey from a podium in Switzerland to her house in Montecito. She had 300 or so other passengers on that aircraft. She had a flight crew. She had a captain whose name in a moment will matter quite a lot. What she didn't have on that flight, on any read of the public record, was her husband. By the morning of the 19th, the card was on her Instagram. By the same afternoon, People magazine had published their exclusive, with quotes drafted, attributed to a source close to the Duchess of Sussex, between the BA269 wheels touching down at LAX and that People article going live.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex marked 8 years of marriage on Tuesday and shared a glimpse of the heartfelt gesture she received while travelling home from Geneva, Switzerland the day before. Posting to her Instagram stories, Meghan revealed a handwritten note from the British Airways flight crew thanking them publicly for helping make the occasion special. Thanks to this amazing flight crew for all the love yesterday. Appreciate all your memories and kind words, she wrote, tagging a British Airways alongside a Union Jack emoji.
Somewhere in the region of 12 to 18 hours had passed. What we know happened in that window is one Instagram post. What else happened in that window? Only the people who placed the People magazine briefing know. Keep that in your head, because that is the context in which the first thing on this card stops making sense. Thing 1, the addressing. Read the card. Dearest Harry and Meghan, not dearest Meghan, not dearest Duchess of Sussex. Not Dear Mrs. Sussex with all best wishes from the BA269 crew. Dearest Harry and Meghan, as if both of them were sitting in seat 1A and 1B.
The card read, Dearest Harry and Meghan, wishing you a wonderful wedding anniversary with love, the whole British Airways family. Covered with signatures and personal notes, it was also marked BA269 and dated May the 18th.
Now think about what cabin crew actually do. When they want to make a fuss over a single celebrated passenger, they write the passenger's name. They address the human in front of them. They do not, as a rule, pre-address a card to a person who is not, by anyone's account, on the aircraft, unless they were briefed in advance that the card was for an anniversary, unless they were given a script, or at minimum a name to copy onto a blank card from the supply cupboard, which raises a reasonable question. How did the British Airways crew know, before this flight took off, or at least before the card was finalized, that the appropriate inscription was Harry and Meghan, plural, as a couple, on a flight only one of them was taking?
Wait, what? Meghan arranged an anniversary card to be given to her on her flight? She pre-ordered and then gave the exclusive to People magazine?
The People magazine exclusive, published the following day, sourced to a source close to the Duchess of Sussex, describes a moment in which the crew all came to say happy anniversary and shared their memories of where they were on the day. That's a lovely image. Cabin crew of a certain age remembering 2018. Genuinely lovely.
A source close to the Duchess of Sussex. This is how much she wants people to know about this card, right? Tells people, Meghan's flight crew was so lovely. On her way back from Geneva, they all came to say happy anniversary and shared their memories of where they were on the day. I thought Meghan thought the whole thing was horrible. The crew's gesture also included treats for the couple's children. They wrote Harry and Meghan a card and gave them a bottle of champagne and British candies for Harry and the kids. The source adds, it was very special and so appreciated by Meghan, who wanted to publicly thank them. She was truly so touched. So far so suspicious.
The card photograph, though, has them addressing both halves of a couple, and the only published source for any of this being spontaneous is one anonymous person, briefed by a publicist, talking to one magazine that has, as we'll come to in a moment, been the primary outlet for every Sussex candid moment since 2017. The card doesn't say Meghan, congratulations on your anniversary. It says Dearest Harry and Meghan. That isn't a small detail. That is the entire shape of who the card was prepared for. And it doesn't match who was actually in the cabin. Look at the card again, not just the names. The hand. The card body is in one set of handwriting. Careful, looped, professional. The captain's note, set apart, is in a different hand entirely. At least 2 people put a pen to this card, possibly more.
This was really embarrassing. And Toomey on Twitter, she managed to spot that Richie Rich was so used to these cards going around, he's even put his signature on there twice. So obviously there are cards that just get passed around, honestly, and then they all sign it. But yeah,
I think that's a little message from the crew.
Whoever the cabin crew briefed for the main inscription chose to write to both halves of a marriage. That choice was made by someone holding a pen on a flight where one of the halves was not aboard. The card did not write itself. That's the first thing. There are 2 more. The next is in the captain's own handwriting. Thing 2, the captain's note. Set apart from the body of the card, in a different hand, is a separate inscription. Lovely to have you on board. Congratulations on the anniversary. Signed by the captain, Ed French. Stop and read that sentence as if you have never seen a celebrity Instagram post in your life.
She had a card that had just been prepared by Harry and the children, if you remember, with their names all over it. And this is the exact same thing. Meghan wants to prove to the world that she's adored by Harry. She always talks about, that man loves me so much, but then she also does it with the crew.
A captain of a 777 carrying somewhere between 200 and 300 passengers precomposes a complete sentence acknowledging a specific passenger's wedding anniversary, not happy anniversary from the cockpit. Not a couple of crew signatures on a card someone else wrote. A full considered captain's signed line that names the occasion. Captain's brief before every flight. They check the passenger manifest. They are made aware of premium passengers, dignitaries, public figures, and anyone the company has flagged as requiring discretion or attention. That isn't a conspiracy theory. That is how every commercial airline on Earth operates.
She got a fucking card from British Airlines.
And without them realizing or doing the research that anyone can get this fucking card.
Oh,
anyone in the world can go
know.
on there
Yeah.
and get that card and say it's my anniversary.
They probably
just
know,
her-
but they
yeah.
get clicks, right?
Right.
I mean, that's why they're
But
doing it. They're
they're
part
her
of this
PR agent.
Markle,
But
economy.
Even if they did it, even if British Airways went,
cares?
oh my God, it's their anniversary day, we got to get
They
them a
didn't
card.
do it.
No, why would they? Nobody in the fucking crew would give a shit. Like,
No.
you think, oh, Meghan Markle's on the flight list in 2 days. Let's get her a card and all sign it. That's ridiculous.
No, they'd be in the background saying, let's pee in her
Yeah.
champagne because this
Wipe the
girl
card of my
sucks.
butt. Yeah.
So, boy, what a fail that anniversary was. Oh, what a fail. And how tragic. I mean, 8th anniversary, such a huge anniversary. Oh, my God. All
I know,
this
why?
posting.
Yeah, why are they going over the top for the 8th anniversary? Oh, it's because, like he said, to flood the zone, right?
Do people normally make a big deal out of their 8th anniversary?
No.
Really? What is that?
British Airways is no exception. In a moment, we'll show you the document where they describe it themselves. But for Ed French to compose this line and to know, on the day, that this specific passenger's wedding anniversary falls the following day, somebody, somewhere, told him. Either Meghan's office briefed British Airways before she boarded, or British Airways' own internal passenger system flagged her loyalty profile and surfaced the relevant date, or the captain spent his Sunday evening on his iPad, making notes on his Monday manifest. There are only those three possibilities. There is no fourth. Captains do not, as a rule, materialize the anniversaries of strangers from thin air 20 minutes before pushback. So the question becomes, which one of those three things happened? And here is where it stops being a guessing game, because British Airways has, in writing, on its own website, told us exactly how it actually works.
I did a whole big whistleblowing thing on this because it was actually, I fly BA all the time. I love BA. They are incredible crew members. And it was actually a whistleblower on board a British Airways flight who first approached me and gave me the information, which made me then start to look into the way that she treated the stuff. And it dated right back, Tash. This is what's interesting about it. Before she was with Harry, she had a reputation then because she used to do that thing where she would demand upgrades to first, even sometimes when they weren't available. So she's widely regarded as a passenger who they don't like. Now, do I, I don't want to do down the crew at all. I'm sure they were absolutely delightful to her on board because that is their job. But was this a setup? Well, absolutely it was.
That's the third thing on the card, except it isn't on the card. The most damaging detail in this entire story is not printed on the card Meghan posted to her 4.5 million followers. It is printed on the airline's own legal page, and anyone can go and read it right now. Thing 3, the one not printed on the card. British Airways itself has issued no on-record statement either confirming the gesture was spontaneous or denying it was arranged. The carrier has been silent. What British Airways has said on its own website, in its own privacy policy, is exactly how its cabin crews actually work. The airline tells you, in print, that its crews use executive club data to welcome you back on board, meaning they have access to your loyalty profile, your preferences, your travel history, and the personal milestones that frequent flyer programs track for exactly this purpose.
And then Tash delivered the receipts. Look at this, because Meghan's just been well and truly rumbled. When booking, this is on BA, you can add a complimentary personalized message for your partner. Let the flight attendants know it is your anniversary when you board, especially if you are celebrating a major milestone like a 10th or 25th anniversary. It is up to the crew's discretion, but they often present couples with a complimentary bottle of bubble and a signed crew card. Since BA does not centrally arrange standalone cards, it is best to bring your own special card on board if you hand it to a crew member.
The carrier has documented in its own legal page the mechanism that would allow a captain to know a passenger's anniversary and a cabin crew to address a card to both halves of a marriage. That mechanism exists. It is on record. British Airways has told you it exists. Whether the mechanism was triggered for Meghan's specific flight, British Airways still has not said. Not in a press release, not on its own social channels, not to any of the UK royal correspondents covering this story. The Daily Mail asked, The Telegraph asked, The Sun asked, The Express asked. British Airways press office returned silence. Standard PR practice for an airline given positive A-list publicity is a confirming statement that amplifies the moment. There has been no confirming statement. The Daily Beast's Tom Sykes, who actually flew to Geneva for the Lost Screen Memorial speech, opened his anniversary write-up that week by noting that Meghan had done what Meghan does to mark an anniversary.
An amazing opportunity for Meghan, right? And what does she do? She, hours before this vital event, Meghan chooses to post a photograph of herself smirking, basically, wearing this kind of very fancy lilac outfit with Lilibet sort of crouched at her feet, sort of worshipping her, oh, mummy, you look so beautiful, you look so gorgeous.
She posted to Instagram. The royal correspondents who cover the Sussexes for a living had a clear view in real time of which week's content was running through whose press machine and where the briefings were landing. Right, here's where I lose patience with this story. You are being asked by People magazine, by Hello, by every aggregator that copy and pasted the same source close to the Duchess of Sussex line to believe that a British Airways crew briefed on absolutely nothing spontaneously wrote a card to a couple where only one half of the couple was present, that the captain just happened to know it was the anniversary, that none of this was prepared, and that you should find it sweet.
I'm just surprised that she didn't turn around and say, and there was a moment when all of the crew dropped to their knees, they took off their hats and thanked me for the work that I've just done in Geneva, you know, for my service that I've just committed to. She is honestly, she's a walking embarrassment with stuff like this because people can see through it all. Now, if you heard second, third hand that the crew had done something nice for her on the flight, then maybe it would have been, I guess, a bit more believable. A staff member perhaps did it for her or something.
A spontaneous gesture from a flight crew, the way a fireworks display is spontaneous. The timing is perfect, the colors are right, and somewhere off camera, someone has lit the fuse. The Daily Mail's Alison Boshoff watched the same week's content roll out, the wedding photo dump, the candle launch, the anniversary post drive, and on Palace Confidential, on the 22nd of May, told the audience straight, I fear this huge candid photo dump was intended to funnel people to the brand because this year they really have to make money.
Harry and Meghan had a success or two, but then a ton of failure after that. The Netflix thing didn't go as well as I thought it would. Their futures in Hollywood are looking quite bleak at this point. They have a ton of things quote unquote in development, but nothing in production.
This is the year Meghan's brand has to work, and Richard Eden, sitting next to her, went further. I find something slightly repulsive about the way that they're using their children for commercial gain. Those are the Daily Mail's own people. On camera, on a panel called Palace Confidential, looking at the same week's output and naming it for what it is.
And the problem that I have, particularly with this now, or not my personal problem, but why I just think it's incredibly unwise of this couple to do this, is that increasingly at the center of this commercial operation is Lilibet. She is increasingly the cheese, the bait, the whatever you want to call it, to draw people into these photographs.
The British Airways card is one ingredient in that week. You can decide whether you find it touching. I'll tell you what I find it: calculated, polished, and given everything British Airways' own policy lays out, almost certainly not the unplanned moment we were told it was. So there it is. 3 things on one card. The addressing, to a couple, only one of whom was on the flight. The captain's pre-composed line, a complete sentence acknowledging an anniversary a stranger does not by default know. And the airline's own privacy policy, the document that explains how all of this could have been arranged before the cabin door even closed. None of those 3 alone proves the card was staged. All 3 together, combined with British Airways' continued silence, People Magazine's anonymous Sussex camp source, and the same week's wider brand funnel content rollout that Palace Confidential's own panel called out, make the official spontaneous gesture version of events one that the documents simply do not back up.
Cannot believe it. When I saw it, I just thought, I don't believe this for a second, because she is well known amongst BA to be the worst passenger. She has a terrible reputation, and people can go back to my old video where I revealed all of this detail about how much she is hated on British Airways flights.
The card is still on Meghan's Instagram. The People article is still live. British Airways still has not said a word. This is the story of how a candid Sussex moment actually gets built. Not by surprise, not by accident, by a card with a name on it that doesn't belong, a captain's hand that already knew the date, and an airline that, when asked the obvious question, has chosen conspicuously not to answer. That's the BA269 card. That's where the official version stops adding up. Look at the card, read it twice, then ask why.
It's honestly, it's your 8th wedding anniversary. This isn't a big, huge celebration. Catherine and William didn't make this much fuss when it was their 10th wedding anniversary. Everything is so contrived and so over the top.
Drop your verdict in the comments. Spontaneous gesture from a fond cabin crew, or a carefully arranged moment that arrived in your timeline already polished? Which way does the evidence land for you? I read every single one. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about these stories. And subscribe. There's a lot more coming this week, including the next piece in this run, where we look at the 7 different Sussex candid moments since 2017 that all surfaced in the same magazine, through the same anonymous source, in the same 24-hour window. Same playbook, different week. You'll want to be here.